Here's what I think is nobody could hurt like Hank.
Hi, Mike Archer here for Main Street Media Television, and we just finished shooting an episode of All Mic'd Up. Jeff Jacobs right over there, and today's guest, Scott Collins, is a friend of yours, correct?
Yeah, it was good to see Scott, and we worked together on some music videos like you and I had, but really what we wanted to concentrate today on is going back to sharing with local artists a little bit about how you guys got started. You both did it a little bit different ways, and maybe some tips, how-tos, maybe some good stories. You got to be kind of a guest and a host on this episode.
I was reluctant to do that.
Yeah, he was.
But I think we had some good stories. We shared some do's and don'ts. So if you know somebody that is trying to get into the music business of a younger age, maybe they can learn from myself and Scott and some of the other local musicians here so that they don't make the same mistakes that we did. So without further ado, Jeff and I will be interviewing Scott Collins. Welcome to Main Street Media TV. My name is Mike Archer. This is the All Mic'd Up show. The disembodied voice way over there, socially distancing Jeff Jacobs. How you doing, Jeff?
It's better this way.
I couldn't
Then
agree
I'm over
more.
here. I mean,
I haven't showered in a week.
It's
so.
not like, well, it's better this way. I mean, what is there to see?
Exactly.
I do like my chair over there, my perch. But
it is quite comfortable.
It is nice. I like that. But we are trying to do the right thing.
And thanks for getting the mic out of my face this time.
You live and learn. Live and learn.
We're doing something a little bit different. We talked about it in the opening. Scott Collins, a local musician, is here now. I've said this before. I'll say it again, and I'll say it till I'm 150 years old, that there's so many times where we get conditioned to think that being a successful musician or successful anything means that you're, as Jeff would say, getting Grammys on TV, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes success is just doing your job at a professional level, paying your bills and such. And Scott, welcome to the show.
Good
leading
to be
right
here,
into
Mike.
it. Yeah,
Thank
and you've
you.
done quite well for yourself. Let's talk a little bit about the easy things right off the bat. How did you get started?
I had one of those little ding, 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 ding guitars in my crib. There's actually pictures of it. So
Well, I didn't think he'd go back that far.
I went back to diapers. So, I kind of grew up with it. I wasn't real serious about it till probably more 16, 17, then kind of found the banjo for a while. Took lessons from Tim Lake for a while. He's kind of a crazy guy.
Yeah.
And just always had a love for it.
And that's the thing. So many people have a love for music, but so few take up the time to learn how to play an instrument so they can create the music themselves. Now, Jeff, explain to the folks because normally I don't like to talk about myself when we're doing this, but you want to hear some of the stories that I have as well to kind of add to. So please explain that.
I do. You talked about success. I used to, being in the media business, I wanted to grow, when I got to a point, I wanted to direct movies and all that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden, life got in the way and, I was able to pay bills doing kind of the stuff I like to do and put food on the table. I was able to do two things. I was able to do the thing that I enjoyed doing and make a living at it. I consider both you guys successful for these reasons. You pursued your love. Mike, you've been doing it a long time. Scott, on the other hand, was a little bit of a late bloomer. And although he's already talked about his early love for music, he again, had life happen, had a family, had a successful business, then kind of found a little free time at the end of all this on his hand and said, hey, guess what? I want to pursue my love. I want to play. I want to share my music. And you know what? If I can do it in front of folks, that's what I want to do. And a little bit about your experiences and how you guys got to where you were. And I call you both successes.
Well, thank you. I'll take that.
I'll take it.
Now, something that I did that you didn't do, and I don't know how you did it, I chose, because I want to get into music, to sacrifice having a family. It's not that much of a sacrifice because I think I have less than zero interest in having children. Maybe marriage, I don't know. Business, this is what I chose to do. You had a family, you had a successful business. Talk about that and getting into music.
I was in bands throughout the whole thing, and I did all that. But, at some point, you just realize that you kind of have to choose, to a certain degree, how deep you're going to be in music. You're doing it for the love of it, but you still have to pay the mortgage and keep the wife happy, which is sometimes fun.
Happy wife, happy life.
Yes.
Yeah.
And see, this is why I chose to say single, because I know there's no way that I could keep a wife happy practicing all the time, playing all the time.
Yeah.
And you've done this, so this is what I want to get to.
Well, I have a special young lady that has been.
Is she aware of this?
My wife doesn't know about
Yes.
her.
Okay.
But she has always been real understanding and encouraging of what I do. So she has given me the freedom to travel weekends and do shows and practice.
I'm talking about your wife.
Yeah, I actually am.
Okay.
I didn't want
How many years you been married?
37.
Oh, I hope it works out between you.
Yeah. A friend of mine called me and said there's a job for a dental equipment repairman. He said it doesn't pay anything. I would never do it, but
Wow.
it might be all right for you.
It's enticing.
Yeah. So, and he was right. It didn't pay hardly anything, but I got to say that learning that very unique trade ended up being a very good thing, because I eventually just moved up till I had my own business for many, many years and sold it about 5-6 years ago. And that's kind of when I started more. It's like I've been a songwriter for many years and love music, but then I wanted to actually record some of the songs I've written and play them for people.
It takes money.
Get out there and so it's kind of, I've done things backwards.
Tell us a little bit about your touring schedule and where do you play? How often do you play? Things of that nature.
I've been playing like restaurants and things and festivals and churches.
What kind of music you play?
I've led worship and music for had several jobs doing that. So that's been nice.
So you're a gospel player?
I'm not. Yeah, I do a lot of that.
So I didn't know that.
You don't hold that against me.
Well, yes. I no.
You're not gonna
I don't care.
Throw me in the lion's den.
Well, we've just met, so I really didn't know that. I guess our audience should know that as well.
As I said earlier, I've been in bands throughout the years. I never really stopped doing music per se, but I wasn't doing any kind of full-time thing. It was more weekends and playing gigs here and there.
So you played out. I mean,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
various venues, restaurants.
Just at wherever. Churches
I mean,
and,
did you pick? I mean, were you part of the process of picking up the phone and making the gigs? And
Yeah.
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 I mean, Mike, did you do the same thing? I mean, do you remember those days where you picked up the phone and you called around?
Worst thing in the world about it is you'll call, you'll leave a message, and they won't return your call. They won't return your emails, and you have to keep calling and keep calling. Have you had that experience yet?
yeah. Yeah,
Just at least tell me you don't want me.
Yeah, at least say no.
Yeah. The
ignore
phone
you.
calls, they really stink. There's a lot of things, I guess, you could look at it, as far as the business end of music, that kind of stinks.
Yeah.
But, man, there's nothing better than being up there and doing your thing. And
Son, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
it's one of those heaven hell scenarios. As somebody once said, it's like, how much do you charge to do a concert? I said, I don't charge anything to do a concert.
Yeah.
I charge for getting there, buying all the equipment, the years of lessons and everything else. That concert's free.
But the concert's free. That's great. I like that.
Playing's
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, I've used that line. I don't know where I heard that, but I've used that line myself. But the funny thing is, especially at restaurants and such, they want thousands of dollars worth of equipment and effort, and then they pay $150 or something, or they want to pay just a little
you get that
amount.
much?
Yeah. It's
Your rates just went up.
it's unbelievable how they will expect all of this effort. And the other thing, I started doing a lot of house concerts, especially since COVID happened, and people would invite me to their homes, and I play in the backyard, socially distanced, blah blah blah. But they say, well, how much do you charge to do a gig for 3 hours? And I say this, and they said, what about 4 hours? And I said the same. They said, well, I said, I'll play for 4 or 5 hours. I said, but what you're paying for is me getting there.
Yeah.
They think that the playing hours is the issue, and that's not the issue.
No.
Let me ask you
Go
guys
ahead.
both this. Let me
Go ahead.
ask you about this, because we're going down a good road here for all the folks that are listening in, young and old,
Yes.
that are listening to this. And it's like, okay, how do I even go about this? You mean I've got to pick up the phone and call it? They need to realize that you have to start from somewhere. And I think a lot of folks just don't have any idea what that means. And us coming from a little bit different, older generation, you got to do a little bit of legwork.
Well, I think the problem is you have a profession that is, it's kind of like being a baseball player. Everybody wants to be a famous baseball player, and there's just a few slots for that. So it's a crowded field because there is, and people love music. They love being in front of people. They love the whole thing. So because of that, there's just a lot of musicians out there who are willing to pretty much I mean, a lot of it's pay for play now. You have to pay to play in a lot of places.
I won't.
Oh, well.
I did it once. I won't do it again.
Okay. So I want you both, and Scott's the guest, go first. Take me down that road as far as what were you hoping? Did you have an angle? Was it hard work? What did you put in your basket as the separation for someone to choose you over, let's just say Mike?
Well, I think like anything, those who have put the most into it sometimes reap the better benefits. The guy who's just started playing, knows 3 songs and 2 chords, he's probably not going to be first on the list. But if you've been around, you get a reputation, sometimes a good reputation.
Yeah.
Right? And from that, generally, somebody will say, well, I know somebody, or I saw you here, or I saw your video. And so, sometimes it just, one thing leads to another. You just kind of get a reputation for, he can do your funeral.
Yeah. There you go.
His career's
well, I
dead.
mean, that's the point of this whole thing for me, is being the non-musician here, is that, how do you do it? How do you even get started? How do all these people do it?
If I may, it's I don't think there's a right or wrong way, is there? You just kind of do what you do. But one of the most important things is practice. Yeah. And I mentioned to you off the air, and I'll mention on the air, is one of the things I want to do is work with kids. Because, listen, everybody here knows somebody that's older than you are, correct? And so everybody here, with those people who are older than us, all those people they're not in the way. They're human libraries. There's people that can tell you everything there is to know about Kennedy being shot, for crying out loud, or going down the list. So some of the older musicians are libraries, and they're resources for you to use. So what you need to do is find out what worked for them, and maybe try it yourself, and it's kind of a trial and error, isn't it? You do what you think is right, and if it doesn't work, you try something else. One of the things I did, I don't know about you, is I would go on YouTube, thank goodness for the internet, and I would watch all these old comedians, whether it be Groucho Marx or Red Skelton or whoever, and find out how they interact with the audience and what it is they do that brings it. Because listen, there's a million guitar players, you know this.
Yeah.
How do you separate yourself? You be an entertainer, is my opinion.
Right.
And so that I kind of stole, I call it studying, how they do it. You have any kind of similar situations like that?
Yeah, and I think comedy is really, because when it comes down to it, playing the guitar, being a musician, is really entertainment.
Entertainment, absolutely. Yeah.
And anytime you have entertainment, levity should be a part of that equation, unless you're doing a funeral.
And it's something you both, I know for a fact, both do.
To succeed, you have to. So with all your music exploits, you got into doing a Hank Williams tribute show?
Yeah. So
how did that? What was genesis there?
My father loved Hank Williams music, and so I always just, I kind of, because my voice is still changing, it's really not, it's not hard for me to do the blue yodel thing. So I wrote a song called "Nobody Could Hurt Like Hank." Kind of, and I incorporated the blue yodel sound in there.
We did a video for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had some fun.
I mean, this guy has a lot of credit for the fact that I win anywhere.
No, that's not true.
No.
No,
it is.
That's not true.
You encouraged
I did
me
encourage
at a time
you.
when I was like...
You know what I did? I will say that. I did encourage you.
He's going to want money, you know that.
No.
Jeff
And our videos, they were promotional videos. They weren't like, they aired and were seen by people who would take the time to watch them. But they were fun to do. We had a good time. Mike and you and I have worked on several of those.
2 videos.
Yeah, 2 videos. So, that's another example of what, other folks can do to do videos, in any kind of promotion whatsoever. And now I'm sidetracking.
Yeah.
I'll cut this
Please
out.
continue.
Go back.
Please continue.
I'm sorry. Yes.
I'm dying to learn more about this Hank Williams show.
So I wrote this song, and somebody invited me to put together a little show in a park, and so I just decided to just use that, that song as kind of the basis, "Nobody Could Hurt Like Hank," and then put a lot of his other classics. I got a friend who played steel guitar and some other, like bass, stand-up bass guy, and a great piano mandolin player, blah, blah, blah. And we just basically put this show together in Hank Williams music. So this people that live in my neighborhood, fairly wealthy couple. They said, if you will do this, we'll rent you a theater.
Well,
And so I got to thinking, well, how about we just write a play and do it as a play as opposed to just standing up there and singing the songs. And so that was the seed that germinated. And so I just started writing a play, a lot of comedy, but just it's just a combination of all the elements, I think, to make it successful.
Now, is this the same show you did in Lancaster and at Renfro Valley?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So we had some high class musicians and actors and singers, and so it went real well.
now
So-
you know these shows like this do real well in Vegas. Places,
Yeah, yeah.
Branson, places like that.
Yeah, I know.
Have you had
I know.
any interest in going?
Oh yeah, I have interest, but as soon as we hit our stride, the funkatitis killed us.
it
Tell me
did,
about
didn't
like
it?
everybody
Yeah.
else.
Tell me
Yeah.
about it.
So-
But because of the funkatitis, as you call it, I like that. Jeff and I were bored, and here we are.
Yeah, so instead of going to Branson, you get to come here.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Nobody could hurt like Cain.